So these are the Byzance sand cymbals. It's the sand series. It's in the Byzance, under the Byzance home, and these are cymbals made in Turkey, hand hammered in Turkey, and they're finished in Germany, and they do quite a bit with those there. When I came to, we started those with the ride cymbal, so the 20-inch sand ride was the first one, and I was in search for a ride that could have this. For me, there are three elements that make up a good ride. First, the sh, second, the ding, and third, the bell. So the sh is if you hit the cymbal with a mallet or your fingers, and it kind of starts to kind of open up. This is kind of the basic fundamental tone of the cymbal. Some ride cymbals only have ding, 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 and they never open up as a cymbal. And others get too uncontrolled, and you play them and they just you don't hear anything anymore. So the right amount of clarity, which is what you play on the cymbal, ding, 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 da, ding, da, ding, whatever you do, and the underneath has to be in a nice percentage. So I think we nailed it with that one to have a clear pronunciation, kind of. You hear what you play on the cymbal, but underneath you have this nice that doesn't get out of control. There are some cymbals who can do that. If you find a good ride cymbal, it can do that. But then usually it's a thin cymbal that has a very thin bell. So when you play ding da ding and crash it and everything, and you go to the bell sounds the same as the cymbal. It's almost it's almost the same thing. So I wanted to have a ride that does sh and ding at the same time, so a nice clear bell. So for that, we tried to take a thicker cymbal and make it thinner from the bell out. So it's actually quite a long process by hand. You have to lathe, take a lot of material away, and but we did it. So it's basically, we start with a thicker cymbal, we take away a lot of material, and by that get this sound. The third thing we do is, or the 7th or 26th thing we do a lot of things, is we sandblast the surface. So you will realize that the surface is a little bit rough. That takes away all the high overtones, the kind of new sounding harshness of it. So it makes it a little bit more controlled, and it's a way to age the cymbal and to give it a more nicer, smoother tone and response. You also feel when you play the cymbal that it's different, and that was a huge success, and I love it very much. And after that we said, hey, let's maybe make a hi-hat. So I had an idea for a hi-hat to do a quite thick bottom cymbal. It's almost like a bell, and a very thin top cymbal, which is almost like a thin crash. We also sandblasted that, fiddled around with a couple of specs, and then had this, which is almost like a compressed vintage sound. You can play. It's very responsive. It's very dynamic, and it's one of the only cymbals, one of the only hi-hats that you can play super soft, and it still sounds like a hi-hat. Most hi-hats, when you play them super soft, they sound like a garage door or something. When you play them very soft, they don't have that anymore. They have dong dong or something. So this is a hi-hat that is very dynamic, and it's just perfect for what I want to do with it. And then we started to develop, to add crash cymbals to that. So we have these two crashes now that pitch-wise fit very well and really fit nice in that whole set. It's a hard thing to put together a cymbal set that has a lot of character, but on the other side is not too weird in a sense. So these are really nice cymbals, but they're very musical, and they fit very nicely. So in two sizes, that's the sand thin crash, that's the sand medium crash, and this is a special friend of mine. This is a sand crash ride. It's a very thin cymbal with sizzles in it, and it's really a wonderful jazz ride, and it's also a mighty crash. So if you use it, I mainly use it as a crash and it's nice. And another signature thing that we did was the trash head. We updated that now with also the sandblasting on top. But that's actually the first signature cymbal that I ever did with Meinl. So that is a sound that I really love. It's my in-between gear between open hi-hat and crash. So if you have and you want to have a little bit more intensity, you can go to this, except, you know, going to the full-on crash. And I mean, basically, it's just a dream that came true, because to be able to develop your, or have a sound in your head and explaining it to people that are good with it, and then people helping you with putting that into an instrument, it's great. And I'm really thankful for Meinl to have created these. And it was a long process. We went through a lot of prototypes, and I want to thank them for their patience and professionalism in developing these. I'm very happy now, and they're very popular. I mean, I've seen them, you know, Animals as Leaders. I've seen a concert where they used that. I saw Herbie Hancock's band where the drummer used that. I saw Darkane, you know, the heavy metal band, like Peter Vildur used this ride. I mean, I've seen it in speed metal contexts and jazz contexts. So I think it's quite versatile, and yeah, I'm really proud of them, and I love them. I play them every day, and I like them.